Hi Flosstube, welcome back. My name is Caitlin. You found my Flosstube channel, Stitch, Read, Repeat. Welcome. So glad that you're here. This is episode 12. It is my 1 year anniversary. Hard to believe I've been here a year, but welcome. Thank you for joining me. If you're new, so glad that you're here. And if you're coming back, I really appreciate you. Thank you for joining me and being here with me today. I've got a lot to talk about. Not a lot of whips, but I've done some progress on some things. Lots of things that I've bought this month, so you can check out all of those things, and then a lot of book talk at the end. I also have 2 giveaways, so hang out for those. The first one, actually, I'm going to do right now, and this is a chart from Works by ABC. The chart is called Daffodils, and it's one of her repeating motif patterns. And so if you would like to win this chart, please use the word daffodils, just like the title, daffodils with an S. Before my next video, I will draw in a winner and send this to them. I have used this chart. I stitched a model for my local needlework shop, Floss and Flame in Dover, Delaware. And Jen was kind enough to allow me to pass on this chart as a giveaway. So we're jumping right in today, and good luck. So I've got a couple finishes I want to share with you. Well, actually, that's a lie. I finished 3 things this month. 2 of them I don't have with me. One was a model stitch, so you'll see that hopefully later this year when it comes out, and I'll tell you more details at that time. Another one is my StitchCon small, and it is currently in the process of being fully finished. So it's kind of in the basement, and it's gluing, and it needs to stay where it is for now. So you'll see the finish. I'll take a picture before I give that away at StitchCon in a couple weeks. And but the other one, I'm going to put a picture here on the screen for you. Like I said, I finished Daffodils by Works by ABC. I stitched this one on a 40 count linen by XJU Designs in the color Gold Sand, and I used all of the called for Gentle Arts threads. So you can see there, it's pretty tiny. On a 40 count, it was like, I don't know, 3 by 5 or something. This chart was a challenge. I loved it, and I was so proud when it was done. I really felt like I accomplished something, and it's really cute. The size, it's very small. But because of the way that the motifs are made, you really have to be cautious and count and make sure that you don't make a mistake, because it's very evident. There's no fudging in this chart. So it uses 5 colors, and I loved it. I was really happy with how it turned out, and I can't wait for Jen to get that fully finished and hung up in her shop. I know that Arlene has a couple other charts in this grouping, and I was happy to do this one. This one released at market in March. So if you're checking into maybe a Works by ABC design, I would encourage you to do one of these. It was easy. It just took a lot more brain power than some of my other kind of blocks of color stitching. So let's see, we've got 4 works in progress to share with you today. The first one, I also have a couple pictures I want to share. This is called Holiest Night. It's by Monticello Stitches. This is a chart that I had Susan from Keepsakes in Ohio convert for me. The original, I'll put a picture here, is very bright. The colors are vibrant. Those bright yellows and greens really isn't kind of my vibe. And I thought, I really like the color palette that Beth Twist uses for her charts in Heartstring Sampler's catalog. So I asked Susan if she could change the colors to something more in line with that, and she's done an incredible job. So here's a picture of where it was when I picked it back up in April. And I am pushing for a StitchCon finish on this one. And I'll put a picture now here of the latest progress when I was moving my Q-snap. So I've worked all the way around the chart. I've worked down the side and across the bottom, and now I've just got a little section left on the right side. And then the middle, there's a verse from A Christmas Carol, and I'll do those words very last. But there's Krynick, there's Petite Treasure Braid. There's lots of sparkly stuff in this chart, and so it takes a lot of finagling to get all the little things just right, but I'm really happy with how it's looking, and I know that I'm going to get a finish on this in just a couple weeks, so that's very exciting. It's an old whip, ready to get that marked off my whip list. The next one I want to share with you is a Whip Go. This was called for, I have to think, we're in May, so this was called for April. I didn't make it to work on it in April, so I brought it forward to May and got a start on it, which is my goal for this year for Whip Go. I'm doing 25 new starts in 2025. And so this chart is Botanical Bee by Hands-On Design. This one came out at market in 2024. This year she brought out the ladybug that was on the pink. Ladybug didn't call to me as much, but this bee I think is really beautiful. So I just got a small start on this, and I'll show you. Started on the bee's body right in the center. So I think it looks really nice. This is being stitched on a 36 count linen by Barefoot Needle Art in the color Sea Mist. And this is, I'm going to use all Kathy's called 4 Weeks Dye Works. This is coal or charcoal. I'll have to look, but it's got a little bit of variegation in the black and I really like how it's coming along. So got to start. It'll be easier to pick up now as I continue working. Let's see, that is charcoal, Weeks Dye Works charcoal. So really happy with how that one's coming along, and was able to say that I got that started this year. My next work in progress, I did something different this time with this one. This is a chart, Hark, Hark, Hark by Summerhouse Stitchworks. It's a Christmas chart, and I'm stitching mine on a 46 count linen using the called for color of Grecian Gold by Gentle Arts. And really a beautiful chart. I saw the model at Keepsakes in Ohio, and the model sold me. And so this time what I did is I stitched the entire border all the way around. So it's just shy of like 10 by 10 on a 46 count. And if I can get this centered so you can see the whole thing. I was very proud of myself that my border matched on the first try on a 46 count. So yay me. Yeah, I think this fabric's gonna look really nice. This is Marbled Bunny, I think, by XJU. And so I've got the bones in, and now I can kind of pick up and start wherever I'd like. I did put a, ooh, I'm having a mess here. I did put a T at the top of my fabric so I know where the top is. It's a square chart. I don't know if that really matters, but I wanted to make sure that I knew what I was doing and that my stitches were all going to go the same way. So excited to continue with this one at some point. This 46 count linen has really been a dream to work on. Very easy to see. I have a good light that I use when I stitch on this, and it's been no problem. So I'm enjoying that one, and got a nice start on that. And this last one is a little bit of a story. This was one of my unicorn charts, a chart that I was really looking for a long time. I had seen it soon after I came back to cross stitching. If you know a little bit about me, I really love stitching nativities. Those are really special to me. I collect nativities. And so I found this chart, and it was nativity adjacent. I love Christmas time and love the story of Christmas. And so this is from, my friends were laughing at me. I think I want to say it's from 1989. Yeah, 89. So this is older than I am, but I said it's not too old. So this is the first Noel Sampler by the SEM Player. And so you can see there, it's got this really pretty border, and then there is a few specialty stitches. So like this white border, this interior white border is all satin stitch. And then there's some other things in there. It's got a verse from the first Noel, and the angels are there telling the shepherds the good news. And this came as a kit. I purchased this on the secondhand market as a fully kitted chart. And it came with this linen. And I was very excited about this linen. It was a nice brown color. I thought it really complemented the threads well. And so I ironed it up, and I got really excited, and I've got it all folded here. You can see it. If I unfold it, you will see very defined lines of where the fold was, and there's no more dye. So I'm going to cut this piece into 6 smaller pieces and use it for ornaments or other smalls. I can save the linen, but I couldn't use it for a big chart because I thought it was just not going to look good. I ironed it. I took a picture of it inside the house, took a picture of it outside, and it was evident there were fold lines. You know, it's from 1989. It was probably packaged around that time. I can't complain. So I did a little stash dive. I found a color that was almost exact to this, a little bit more mottled. The chart says that this is brown, and it's showing up, I guess, kind of brown, but it's almost got a little bit of a pink to it, and I found a color in my stash that was perfect. But the problem was that my piece in my stash was like, it wasn't a full fat quarter, and I needed a full fat quarter for this chart. And so I was like, okay, what am I gonna do? I really like this fabric, and I'm not always super confident in my going outside the box, but I took a chance. So I stitched up part of the border. I added in the red flowers because I was worried about how the colors were going to mesh. And this is what I landed on. And I should probably tell you what this is. So I landed on a fabric by Atomic Ranch in the colorway Tea Rose. And here she is. So it's still in my Q-snap. I'm still working on it, but I think this is gonna work. You can see there that the red, I think the red looks okay. I got part of the corner in there. My fabric that I chose is a 36 count. The chart was charted on a 30 count, so this is going to be a little smaller than what it called for. But if I put the brown, well, now it looks really brown. So I went darker, but I was worried about being able to see the angels in the sky, so to speak, and then making sure that all of the other colors could show up. And so this is what I went with. This is what we're going with, and it'll give it a different look, but I think it'll be okay. So excited about this. I'm going to continue this piece. Probably not going to do the whole border this time, but I think I like stitching words, but sometimes it's like a treat at the end. And so what I might do is stitch down and get down, and then maybe do some of this work and then across. I don't know. I haven't decided. The border is not boring, but it's a lot of the same, and so I like to have a little bit of difference in there. Who knows? Maybe I'll do the words first. I haven't decided. It's a long way to come, but excited about this chart. It's been a fun start. And I didn't say, but Hark, Hark, Hark and the first Noel Sampler were both whip go calls for the month of May. So I can check both of those off, and I've kept up with my whip go, and excited to look ahead into June and see what's coming next. Okay. You'd think after a year I would kind of know what my routine is in these videos, but sometimes I'm like, okay, what's next? What comes after? Okay, what comes after? Well, I do plan to finish, like I said, my Holiest Night sampler by StitchCon. Whether I finish it at StitchCon or I finish it before, my goal is to have it done at some point that weekend so I can take a picture with Susan and just celebrate that finish and that big conversion that she did for me. I'm so grateful for her eye. I've met so many wonderful people in this community who have such a great eye for color, and that's not me. I've gotten better over the years, I will say, but I appreciate those who are really good at that, who can really see it and are willing to share that with our community. So thank you, Susan. So finish that. I do, after that, want to continue working on a conversion that I'm doing of the chart Winter is Past by Blackbird Designs. I've got my progress here to show you, and forgive me, it's a little wrinkly, but you get the point. So here's where I am. So I just need to continue. I am doing this loosely based on the conversion that Holly Jones of Mrs. Jones Stitches had shown on her Instagram and Flosstube. So this is the chart, the original chart, in the browns and the blues and the greens. And my friend Jen, who owns Floss and Flame, she is doing it as charted. And then I'm doing this one that's got more blues and pinks. It lightens it up. I'm using this kind of pinky fabric color, and I'm loving it. It's really, really pretty. So I would like to work on this and finish this because she and I have plans for another start together, ideally after we finish this one or after this one's almost done. So this will be something I'll pull out to work on here again soon. Let's see. Okay, the other thing that I'm going to start tomorrow, actually, tomorrow is June 1st, and, oh no, not tomorrow, Sunday. What is today? Today's Friday, May 30th. 31 days in May. So Sunday, June 1st, I'm going to start this for the month of Pride Month. If you haven't seen this chart, I would encourage you to check out her Flosstube where she talks about it, but this is called Stonewall. It's by Rebel Stitcher Designs. It depicts the Stonewall Inn in New York City, and Colleen has a big section on the back of this chart where she tells you the history of Stonewall and what it means. I'm actually going to stitch this for a friend of mine who is an artist, a trans artist, and they had their art displayed in the Stonewall National Monument when it opened. I want to say last summer or maybe the summer before. And so I saw this and I thought, you know, Ange might really enjoy that. So I'm going to surprise them with this. And so I purchased this chart at Floss and Flame. Was really excited when I saw the model. It's really pretty, really bright colors. So I purchased this. And then Colleen also has for sale on her website, and I think these are really cool. They are these floss drops. It's a set of however many you need for all the DMC for the chart. So there's one that has the progress flag, and then the other one is sparkly and has a whole bunch of flags on it. And so it's a set of 12, I think, 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 14, set of 14. And these are nice because you can write on them with a Sharpie, and then you can wipe it off with like a alcohol or alcohol wipe and reuse them. But I bought those two, and so I've got the DMC and the floss drops, and I'll stitch that up for Ange and send it off to them, and just celebrate their art and their additions that they added to that monument. And just a way to remember the important work that was started and done by that community at Stonewall, and where we've come since then. So planning to start that on Sunday, and I actually am starting that with someone, so hopefully they'll get it started too and we can stitch along together and enjoy a new start together. The other thing I wanted to talk about were my 2 Whip Go calls for June. So I have 2 that were called for June. I couldn't tell you what numbers these are on the board, but I can tell you what projects they are. So this is something I had kitted up a long time ago. I have this chart. It's an original, and I couldn't tell you where I bought it, but it is Birds of a Feather. It's Santa Claus. So it's the original. It's got the small charting that I know everyone says that it's not the easiest, but right now I can still read it. I do believe Colorado Cross Stitcher has recharted this one or remastered it in her updated version, but it's this little fat happy Santa, and the model is stitched on Sparrow by Birds of a Feather, which is next to impossible to find anymore, but I thought it looked kind of brown, and so I found a fabric. It's called Chris's Bon Bon. I'm going to leave it in the plastic, but you can see it's kind of a dark brown. So I'm going to do it on that, and then I've got all the called for floss. So that'll be my first start. And then the other one for Whip Go is something I kitted up this summer when I stopped at Craft Gallery in Ohio before I went on to Cincinnati for StitchCon. Craft Gallery is in Findlay, Ohio. And I saw this chart. I'd never seen it before. It's called Stoneware Pin Pillows 3, and it's by Priscilla's Pocket. And so you can see on the back, there's 7 pillows. And I bought enough fabric to do them all. I don't know which one I'll start with yet, but I just thought they were so pretty, inspired by that salt glaze stoneware. I really like florals, and so this one here and this one really speak to me. The bird is, I mean, they're all neat. So I'll start these, and I chose, what fabric is this? This is a, just a plain linen, 40 count in the color Platinum. Kind of a tan, and then I chose Old Blue Jeans by Classic Colorworks to do that blue. So I think that'll look nice. I'll get a start on that, and that'll be my next start for a Whip Go in June. Okay. And then of course, StitchCon. StitchCon is in 3 weeks. My friend reminded me today. Still need to figure out what I'm going to do there. I know for sure we'll have a start that Courtney kitted up for us in April, so we'll all start that one together. I've got another chart that I'd like to finish while I'm there. And then maybe I'll start something else. I haven't decided. I make a whole bunch of plans and then I go to StitchCon and everything goes out the door and I start something else. I am flying this year, which is new for me. Typically I drive. And so thinking about what is realistic for me to take. I mean, it's a lot of time that you can be stitching, but I also am a talker and a shopper and a wanderer, and I see new things and get excited. So I don't know how much I'll actually stitch of what I bring versus other things. So try to be realistic, knowing that if I forget something at home, I'm sure someone there will have it. But really excited to be at StitchCon. I'll be at Weekend Bee, and so if you see me, please say hi. I do have a few little things that I thought I'd pass around, and I had some help figuring out what I want to give out, so thank you to Rebecca and Courtney and Morgan for that. Got some ideas there, and just excited to be there and meet new people, see old friends, and just have a good time stitching for the weekend. So I'll let you know in my next episode what I took and what I actually stitched on, because I think that's kind of fun too. Okay, oops, sorry, I bumped the camera. I made some purchases in the last month that I wanted to show you. Something I wanted to mention that I think I forgot in the last video, but it was right around the same time in that video, was Lindy Stitches hosted the Spring Mingle, which was a virtual retreat for folks. And so there was a class by Kathy Haberman of Hands-On Design. There were meet and greets with designers. There was the speed dating and some other things. Lots of rooms that you could pop in and out of and chat in. A little bit of shopping. So lots of fun stuff going on. I did take Kathy's class. I didn't do any pre-stitching. It wasn't required. Kathy is a great teacher, and she makes it so easy. She makes your finishing seem like it was just, 1, 2, 3. Like, I love stitching because it's so, you make your X the same way every time, right? Like, once you learn the technique, you can just keep stitching. Then you add finishing on top of that, and I get a little nervous because it's a totally different beast. But Kathy makes it very easy and accessible, and her instructions were very, very clear, so I appreciate that. But anyway, so she taught a class called This Bee's Got Knees. I'll put a picture up on the screen. You've probably seen it around. And so I purchased the floss for that, and then the fabric. And so I'm gonna put this on the board. Let's see. This is a fabric that I've seen a lot of. It feels very versatile. It's one that I think could work for many things. It's called Jamie's Kilt. It's an Outlander reference. It's by Fabrics by Stephanie. But it's a little bit dark. And so I got all the DMCs, which is really going to be ugly, but there they are. And so I'm going to do This Bee's Got Knees on this fabric. I got a 32 count and excited to get started on that at some point. And that is a Fabrics by Stephanie. Yes, Fabrics by Stephanie color, Jamie's Kilt. Then, oh, I don't think I have it. The other thing that Kathy offered after her class was, it was like a bonus chart that she gave to her attendees, and it was called Oops-a-Daisy. I'll put a picture here. Super cute. I bought the floss and stuff for that, so I want to make that at some point as well. A cute little tiny pin pillow or pin cushion thing. Just cute to add to your stitching area. And something kind of springy. So thank you, Kathy. Great class. You're a great teacher, and I would highly recommend, if you're able, to take a virtual or an in-person class with her. It's well worth the time. The other thing that I purchased during that event were these pins, and they were by Puntini Puntini. She made them especially for the event. There's a bee, butterfly, and a spool of floss. Super cute. Very excited to get these. I'll put them in something as well. So excited about that. let's see, when I was down at Floss and Flame in Dover, she had some of Colleen's new stuff, and so I love her needle minders because they're super strong. So this one I just think is hilarious. It says snailed it. So I got one of those. And then this one is a Pride one, and it says, "We need in every community a group of angelic troublemakers" by Bayard Rustin. And so I thought I could use that on my Pride start. The other thing that I purchased while I was at Jen's shop, so I mentioned she and I are going to start something new, and so after StitchCon at some point we are going to start, finally, Consider the Lilies by Heartstring Samplery. And so I took a jump. I've never done this before, but I've heard really, really good things, and I bought all of the silks for that chart, the conversion by Vicki Clayton. And so they come on these little spools. You've seen these all over Flosstube, I'm sure. I'm going to put mine on drops because I'm a floss drop girl, but I got a set of those. And then Jen had fabric in from Fox and Rabbit in the color Dust Bunny. And so it's a nice neutral. I'm going to do this in a 46 count. The chart is very, very large, and so I would like it to be not that large, but I thought 46 count is doable for me, and it's not going to be so prohibitive, and I could probably travel a little bit easier than if I had like a 56. So excited to start that sometime this summer with Jen. I told her that my holiest night chart that has a nativity on it that I'm trying to finish by StitchCon is a good precursor because there's so many color changes, and Consider the Lilies looks to have a lot of color changes too. Okay, let's see. Another thing I bought, this was the month to buy, guys. I can't tell you, it just was what it was. So if you haven't followed, or if you don't know who she is, I encourage you to check her out. Vanna Pfeiffer. She is on Instagram. She has a Flosstube. She has a blog, though she hasn't updated in a while. She is an incredible stitcher. She makes beautiful things. She's a finisher. She makes incredible finishes. She's just really a neat person, and she talks about this fabric a lot, and I had never tried it, so I thought, well, if Vanna likes it, I'm going to take her word. So they were having a sale on their Etsy, and so I tried it out. I purchased some fabric from Tropical Stitches, and so I got a 36 count neutral in the color Tekla, which I thought is pretty nice. And then I also got an 18 count Ada in the color Sanctuary, so that's a little bit lighter. I thought that it looked nice, and I could use some more neutrals, and I'm debating actually stitching that Stonewall piece on this Sanctuary color. So I'm gonna try some new fabric. I've heard a couple people mention Tropical Stitches, so I thought I'd give them a shot, and who doesn't love a good sale on Etsy? And speaking of Etsy, Jean, if you are watching this, you should look away because I bought another project bag. I have a friend here in Delaware, her name is Jean, and she was teasing me about my project bag addiction. There's a woman on Etsy, her name is Handcrafted by Harvey. Her first name is Lisa. I follow her on Instagram, and she'll talk about the bag she's putting up on her Etsy. Well, she talked about this bag that she had made for herself, and the fabric is adorable. And I asked her, I said, are you going to make any of these to sell? And she said, well, if I do, it'll just be a few. I don't have very much fabric left. So the minute she posted that she had these up for sale, I bought one. So her fabric bags are nice and large. They're cushy and padded. And her kind of twist to things, she machine embroiders part of the bag. And so this one is what else but a nativity. It says, Oh Holy Night. I think it's really beautiful. I love the imagery. But my favorite part is the main fabric. And it's just this quirky nativity theme fabric. But the best part are these wise men. Sorry, I've got my ring light, so you're kind of getting a glare. Do you see these guys? They're hilarious. They're camels are so funny. I just think they're so funny. And so I was so excited to see this. You can see she quilts it on the inside. She had, she kind of has been doing it in like themed releases lately. So she did one that was, I want to say they were bugs, like maybe, or birds. She's doing like a patriotic floral coming up. Her bags are very well made. And not only did she send oh, and let me show you this too. She puts a nice zipper pull, and then this one has a little nativity charm on it. Is that backwards? That's backwards. So there's a little nativity charm. So just really thoughtful. But not only that, then she also included an extra, and it's a floss tag, and she embroidered this Mary, Joseph, and baby Jesus, and I just thought that was so beautiful. So Lisa, thank you. I love your products and was so excited to receive that in the mail. If you are part of the Delaware Valley Guild and you haven't received your anniversary gift yet, you can look away, but I wanted to show this. I'm part of the Delaware Valley Historic Sampler Guild, and it's the 25th anniversary, and so we all got a gift if we had signed up, completed our membership for the year by a certain point. So this is a little tiny needle minder, and it's harder to read, but it says Delaware Valley Historic Sampler Guild, and it's got a berry bowl on it. It's made out of mother of pearl. Jackie Duplessis is the maker of these, and very nicely made, and a thoughtful gesture for all the members. So thank you to those who put that together. And then, oh, I did do a Save the Stitches this past weekend. I was at an antique mall and I saw this. It's not, I mean, it's not worth much, right? It's not like an antique sampler, but the colors were really pretty. It wasn't faded, and I love the frame that it's in, and so I thought I could find a spot for this. And so this is a cross stitch piece. I'm a sucker for flowers. I love tulips, and I feel like there's tulips in this, along with maybe some hydrangeas. It's a little bit age stained. The fabric is not the cleanest, but you can see it's those big chunky stitches. I just thought it was really nice, and the price was right, and I thought, let me save those. So brought this home, need to find a spot to hang it up, but excited about this find. Okay, if you've made it this far, I have another surprise for you. I've got one more giveaway, and this one can go to anyone. I am going to give a $25 e-gift card to Lindy Stitches. Stephanie has a lot of things on her shop. She sells floss at a discount if you buy so many. She's got charts and accessories. She sells stands, so I'm sure you could find something to spend $25 on. And just my way of saying thank you for being with me for a year. So if you would like to win that, go ahead and use the word year, Y-E-A-R, in your comment, and I will draw for that one before my next video as well. You will need to provide me with your email address so I can send you across that gift certificate, but it'll all be done via email, and you can do your own shopping and spend your own money. So thank you for being with me for a year. So we've got the Works by ABC chart, daffodils with an S, and then we've got the gift card, $25 to Lindy Stitches, and that is the word year. So thank you for being with me this year. I'm really excited to be here. Flosstube has been so much fun. I've met a lot of wonderful people. I have, I'm sure, made many mistakes, but I'm learning every month as I go, and I, continue to seek out opportunities to learn more about this craft and this hobby. And thank you for being here. So if you're just here for stitching, that's what I've got. I shared a lot of stuff with you, and I appreciate you sticking with me today. If you'd like to hear about books, that'll be next. Okay, so books. I've read a lot in the last month. I've had some good ones that I flew through them, and some others that they were due for, their hold was coming up at the library, so I had to, quick read it and finish it and move it on. So most of these are ebooks. I'll put up a picture on the screen. The first one was the first one was The Briar Club by Kate Quinn. Loved this book. Loved it. It was so good. I think my most favorite part about this book was that the house that was the setting was also a character. So you got like a look into how the house was feeling about things, about people, about situations. A little bit of a mystery. It all comes together at the end. Set in 1950s in Washington, D.C. in a boarding house for young women. And this is in the era of McCarthy, right? And so we're talking about who's a communist spy and who's not. And the women that live in this house are weaving in and out of society in different ways. It touches on a lot of different topics, but very, very good read. I thought we were going in one direction and we weren't, we were going in another. I loved it and was very happy to give this one 5 stars. So if you have not read a Kate Quinn novel and are up for historical fiction, I would recommend this one. Okay, the next one is called Sleeping Giants. This is by Sylvain Neuvel, I think is how you say their name. This is another 5-star read for me. A little bit of a science fiction type. Tells the story of a woman who, as a young girl, fell into a giant hole in the middle of the woods in Minnesota, I believe, and they found her laying in the palm of a giant hand. They extracted this from the ground. The military came in. Is this robots? Is this aliens? What is going on? Fast forward, now she's an adult. The project has been declassified. She's a scientist working on this new technology, and they're figuring out that there are body parts of this giant magnitude and scale buried all over the world. And so they're trying to find these body parts, put together this creature, and I'll just leave it at that. It was very interesting, moved along very quickly. I listened to the audiobook, loved the narration. It does look like there's more in the series. I didn't realize that when I picked it up, but the first one, 5 stars, I really enjoyed. The next one is a memoir. I enjoy memoirs, but especially memoirs around food and chef culture, restaurant culture. It's always been interesting to me. And when this one came out, it was touted as this woman worked with and for Anthony Bourdain. And I thought, oh man, you know, when Anthony Bourdain killed himself, I was shook up. Like that really hit me so hard. I loved him, his approach to life, the way that he traveled, and, you know, no reservations, right? I credit him with a lot of my sense of adventure. I watched a lot of his stuff before I left for the Peace Corps. I really appreciated what he was doing for the world. And so to recognize his struggle with mental health and the way that came out of the blue, that was just really impactful. So because Lori Wolliver was the assistant and co-author with him on many things, I was excited to read her memoir, Care and Feeding. I was a little disappointed. I think that they led with their strong point. Yes, she worked for Bourdain. Yes, he was mentioned in this book, but this was really more of her story, which was full of a lot of things that I didn't feel like I needed to read about. So personal issues and transgressions, and it was read by the author. I listened to the audiobook, and maybe I just didn't care for her narration. I don't know what it was. I gave it 3 stars, but it wasn't as great as I was hoping it would be. The next one I read was a continuation of a series that I talked about last month. This is called The Belle of Belgrave Square by Mimi Matthews. This was a 5-star for me. I had a lot of 5 stars this month. I listened to this on audiobook as well. Historical fiction, continues of the same community, same group of women as the first one that I talked about last month. Just a sweet historical romance. It's closed doors, so there's nothing super spicy about it, but a sweet story. I really enjoyed the exploration of themes in this one, and I feel like the author really does a good job of putting you back in this time frame and understanding how the world worked in this way in 1800s in England. So the next one that I read was a book by an author who I have read every one of her books. I enjoy everything she writes. I appreciate the way that she weaves in real life issues into her stories. That author is Rachel Lynn Solomon, and her latest book is called What Happens in Amsterdam. This is a romance. It has quite a few open door scenes, so fairly spicy. Keep that in mind. But it tells the story of a young woman who moves to Amsterdam after a bad breakup. She gets a job, she moves to Amsterdam, life falls apart, and she ends up running into the boy who was a foreign exchange student when she was in high school, who lived with her family. When they were kids, they had a little bit of a relationship, I guess, in the States. But when he moved back to Amsterdam, he cut her off and said, I can't be with you. And that she carried that with her until she met him again. And it's not a spoiler to say there's a marriage of convenience. But the author really beautifully takes this main character through her struggles with anxiety and depression. She has a very large birthmark on her face that she struggles with. And so this idea of self-image and how we present ourselves to the world was there. And it was really neat. The author, Rachel, actually lives in the Netherlands with her husband, who is Dutch. And so there's a little bit of her own story in this. And so I really enjoyed this one. I gave it 4 stars. It was a little slow at times. Not as good as some of her others, but you could tell that this story was very near and dear to her heart, and I enjoyed reading it. And then the last one I read was called The Collected Regrets of Clover by Mickey Brammer. I gave this one a 4 star as well. The concept is what hooked me. This woman serves as a death doula, so her idea being that she helps guide people through death, whether they have last wishes they haven't fulfilled, whether they're trying to set up their things and put them in order, whether they're trying to find a long-lost love, maybe they're alone and no one else is there to be with them in their final days and hours. That is her job. And interwoven in the story is her exploration of what is her purpose in life, her own sense of guilt around deaths of previous family members. I enjoyed it. She had a lot of friends who were older than her. She, given her profession, she met a lot of older adults and got to know them and be close with them. She becomes very good friends with a gentleman who lives in her building who's in his 80s. And so that was a neat kind of thing to see. Towards the end, it got a little preachy, and that was my critique, was that I liked the story, but I didn't need the author's voice coming through the character in that way. But the premise was neat, and I appreciated kind of how the main character turned the corner and started to live life for herself and on her own terms. And so I would recommend it if you are someone who would be interested in a story like that. I know that I have some quirky tastes, so it might not be for everyone, but I really enjoyed this one. Okay, what am I reading next? So currently I'm reading a book called Back After This. It's by Linda Holmes. It tells the story of a woman who is on, she was on radio as a producer, and she's approached by her boss to be actually a host of a podcast about dating and finding your person with like a relationship life coach. And of course, all things go wrong, and that's, how those stories work. So, so far so good. We'll see how it goes. But I was intrigued. Back After This made me think of like public radio, and I thought, what is this book about? So I've heard good things. We'll see how it goes. The other book that I'm listening to this one. It's called Dear Mrs. Bird. It's by A.J. Pierce. It takes place in World War II England. This woman is taking a job. She thinks that she's going to be a war reporter. Turns out she's actually working for a women's magazine answering advice in the advice column. And she works for a lady who has very strict rules about what is and isn't allowed in the advice column. And so I just started this one. It seems pretty good so far, and saw when I was checking it out from the library that it's the first of 4 in the series. So depending on how this one goes, I'll look into the other 3. And then for book club this month, and I guess I didn't talk about book club last month. Last month we read a book called The Real Americans by Rachel King, and I had already talked about that in a previous Flosstube, but had a good time with the women there. But this month we are reading, it's a short story collection. It's called Table for Two. It's by Amor Tolls. And there's 6 stories based in New York City, and then a short one set in Golden Age Hollywood. So I haven't started yet. We'll meet in a couple weeks, and so I like to read these right before I go so that everything is fresh. I have not read anything by him. I know that he wrote A Gentleman in Moscow, and that was supposed to be really, really good. So we'll see how this one goes, but excited to get this one going. It is long. Looks like it's about 450 pages, so I should probably start reading. But that's my plans for reading, at least for right now. So again, if you've made it this far, thank you for joining me. Thanks for being here 1 whole year. I plan to keep going. I find that Flosstube keeps me accountable to my goals, and it's fun to know that I can get on here and talk to the internet about the work that I've done on my projects and the things that I'm reading, and interact with you all as, something makes you think of something else. So thank you. Thank you for being here. So I am headed off to StitchCon in a few weeks. I'll be back at the end of June to recap that. And until then, happy stitching and take care.